In a sport full of egos, Ryan Day's purpose-first mindset is why he still connects with his players.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Feel Good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. During today's show, we will discuss if the Buckeyes will get a commitment from one of their top remaining running back targets, as well as if Ryan Day is leading the right way. But first, Ryan Day has been very, very successful in a short time being a head coach in college football. And while he's been very, very successful, it would be easy for him to lose sight of why he got into coaching. I mean, he's won 70 of the 80 games he has coached. He's won multiple Big Ten titles. He beat Michigan the first time he played them. Oh, yeah, he just won a national championship, too. And with all that being done in a short period of time, Ryan Day could have fallen into the trap that a lot of coaches do, where they lose sight of why they got into coaching. Ryan Day's not doing that. And Ryan Day's purpose is still to pour in young people. That's why he got into coaching. That's why he's still in coaching. It's to pour into young people. And that's his purpose. That's his mindset all the time. And while that's his mindset, it helps him connect with players on the recruiting trail, in the locker room, make an impact with them on the field and off the field. And that mindset that Ryan Day has helps him be the coach that he is today. And it would be easy. Think about all the coaches you have watched in your lifetime, either coach Ohio State football or basketball or baseball or hockey, or maybe your favorite pro team or in the NFL or in the MLB, whatever the case may be. You have been a fan of multiple teams and have seen a lot of coaches come and go. And you may say, man, I like that guy's mindset. I like how he goes out there and does his job. I like how he cares about people on the field and off the field. And if someone has something tragic happen off the field, that coach goes the extra mile to help that person and see if they're okay and help them deal with what's going on. At the same time, there are some coaches out there that they would never, ever, ever go out of their way for anybody because it's all about them. It's all about me, myself, and I. And it's weird that we're not just in a sport, but in a society where that is the case. Some people only care about themselves, while others care about everyone around them. And their purpose is, what can I do to help you? How can I impact your life where you are and beyond? And I think that's one thing that sets Ryan Day apart. I mean, think back with me to the Notre Dame game. Kyle McCord was a starting quarterback that year in 2023. It was in Notre Dame Stadium. All of a sudden, what do we find is going on? Before the game, people are questioning Ohio State's toughness. People are wondering if Ohio State is tough, if Ohio State can grind out a win in a hostile environment. And the next thing you know, they did just that. While people were questioning Ohio State's toughness, they proved they were tough on the field. But then after the game, in an interview, post-game interview with Catherine Tappett of NBC, he goes on the mic and calls out Lou Holtz. We all remember that. But he says, this is a tough team, and he's backing his players. He's not talking about himself. He's not talking about what that win means for his career or the future. He's backing his players about something that just happened. And those are the kind of coaches that if I am a player, I'm going to get behind. I want to run through a wall for, maybe not a brick wall, maybe a paper wall. I'm trying to be sarcastic a little bit. I don't know if it's going over very well, but I want to make sure that I want to run very, very hard, go the extra mile for that coach because he has my back. Also, let's go back a little bit further, not just to 2023. When Jack Sawyer committed to Ohio State, he was Ryan Day's first commit after Ryan Day was promoted after the Rose Bowl win. And you're able to say, Jay, what was it? He connected with Ryan Day. And it's not just connected with Ryan Day, but you can see as a young person, it's weird saying that because I still consider myself young, but these athletes are a lot younger than I am. They can tell if you're fake. They can tell if you are saying one thing that's not true. They can pick that apart very, very well. Well, Jack Sawyer, being a youngster, knowing that's a new guy coaching Ohio State, he hasn't coached a game as a full-time head coach. He had 3 games in 2018 when Urban Meyer was not on the sidelines or Ryan Day coached and Ryan Day won all 3 of those games. But he's looking out and saying, I don't know this guy's vision. Well, I know what he's told me. We haven't seen it in practice. I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know if we're going to win a whole lot of games. But I believe in what he is telling me. And when I believe in what he is telling me, I want to back him. I want to join him. And Jack Sawyer committed to Ohio State. And as he committed to Ohio State, I remember looking at the national championship podium after the game. I remember looking at the Natty celebration in the shoe. And who was right there with Ryan Day celebrating like he was his son? Now, he's not his son, but he was celebrating like someone that had gone through the gauntlet with him, that had gone through the fire with him. Because Ryan Day wasn't just trying to help that young man on the field. He wants to help him off the field as well. It's weird because in coaching, coach egos are real. I mean, Ryan Day has an ego. I'm not trying to say Ryan Day does not have an ego. Every coach has an ego. Now, is it a big ego? Is it one that causes them to be very, very selfish? I mean, yes, a lot of times that does happen. Sometimes it stops you from making necessary adjustments when they need to be made because you think your way is right. When somebody is advising you, look, man, we know you think your way is right, but clearly something has not gone right so far. We need to make a change. You're like, no, I got this. I got this. Sir, excuse me. What is going on isn't okay. And I know you think you got it, but what is going on might cause us to lose 2 or 3 or 4 games. We got to make a change right now. And eventually, you get over yourself, you get out of your own way, and you make that change. I think for this team this year that is trying to win back-to-back national championships for the first time in Ohio State history, you need to have a coach that wants to impact your life on and off the field. Because if you have a coach that just wants to impact your life on the field, but not off the field, you may go all out on the field when it comes to connecting in ways where they're team building activities or going to someone's house for a home cooked meal. You may say, hey, I'm good, man. I'm good. Because you realize he only cares about what happens on the field. He may try to do some things that are trying to change his own ways. And while he's trying to change his own ways, you're thinking, is he being fake? Because he wasn't like this before. Why is he trying to invite me over his home all the time? Why is he trying to ask me about things that are going on off the field all the time? Why is he acting different? Kids can pick that stuff out. I think for Ryan Day with this team, that's the kind of coach you need. That's the kind of person you want leading the team. Because if you don't, if it's all about ball and nothing else, you might not go all out for that guy because you know he doesn't care about you off the field. He only cares about ball. I recently talked to a baseball coach, a newly hired college baseball coach, that talked about some things he did at his previous job that helped him impact players in the classroom. And he said every 2 weeks he meets individually with every player to talk about things that are going on in baseball on the diamond, talk about things in the classroom, and talk about things that are off the field as well. And that's not something that would be very, very easy for someone to do. Now he's at a new job. He's planning on bringing that same tactic with him. And there's going to be some incoming freshmen that are going to be there thinking, why is this guy trying to talk about my life away from ball? I don't care. Well, if you know he cares about your life away from the diamond, away from the dugout, you're going to want to go harder for him. I'm looking forward to watching this team play Jeremiah Smith, Caleb Downs, Sonny Styles, Julian Sand, and the other Buckeyes play this year. Because as Ryan Day's purpose hasn't changed, hasn't wavered, and that's to impact young people, I think these guys are going to go all out, going to go harder than they've ever gone because they know Ryan Day has their back on the field and off the field. Well, Ryan Day has their back on and off the field. It makes me wonder if Ryan Day is leading the right way this year. We'll dive into that a little bit more after the break. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. Thank you all for tapping in Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Well, Ryan Day has been a coach who's been very successful and keeps his purpose, his first mission every single day. It makes me wonder if he's truly leading the team the right way for Ohio State to be successful this year. It is not just about the players with him leading the team. It's about the coaches. It's about the support staff. It's about everybody that makes up the football program if he is leading the right way. I mean, think about Ryan Day in particular. Very successful coach. He has been open about the relationships he has with players that are on the team and previous players that were on the team years ago. Most recently, Jack Sawyer. He considered him a son. Just talk about that connection those two have made. But then we think about the coaches Ryan Day has hired and Matt Patricia and promoting Brian Hartline, really keeping Brian Hartline around and getting James Laurinaitis from the GA spot to full-time linebackers coach in a fast track to get there. It would be easier to say, well, he's made some good hires and he's impacted players on and off the field, but maybe he's not leading the right way because Ohio State has not had an undefeated season. Well, actually, they've lost games that they should have won. Let's think about it. 2019 against Clemson. Was that Day's fault? Maybe you could say that was Day's fault. I don't think so. I think the players on the field were making some decisions that they should not have made. That's not on Ryan Day. 2020, Alabama was clearly the better team. Even if the COVID didn't hit Ohio State's locker room, Alabama was clearly the better team. They had the Heisman Trophy winner who was a receiver. Then you add in their quarterback and you add in Najee Harris. Forgive me for forgetting their quarterback's name. I am so surprised because that brother was Cole. Well, not the same description as a brother, but y'all know what I'm saying. Y'all know where I'm going with that one. I think Ryan Day this year, yes, he has lost some games, but he is leading the team the way the team needs to be led to be successful. And this is not all about the off the field stuff. This is about the on the field stuff that when you look at Ohio State's practice, when you look at Ohio State's coaches, when you look at who Ryan Day is targeting to bring in, their mission is the same. Their purpose is the same. Yes, to win, to lead young men, to develop football players to be the best they can be, but to also impact their lives off the field. Here's what Ryan Day had to say on the Bobby Carpenter show in regards to his purpose and why he keeps it the main thing at all times. And that goes into his staff keeping it the main thing every single day. Quote, to me and to our staff, it has to be pouring into young people. We're helping young people reach their dreams and goals. So when we're standing on the stage, it had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with everybody else because it took everybody in. Quote, now, this was a conversation on the Bobby Carpenter show about what it meant, why coaching is so important, and what coaching means, what the moment meant to win a national championship. And he talks about pouring into young people. I love that. I love that a coach can talk about his staff and why they got into the coaching in the first place. And even when they're up on the podium, being honored for just winning a national championship, they can remember why they got into coaching to begin with, and that is to pour into young people. Now, that's why earlier in the show, I use young people because those are the two words that Ryan Day used to describe the players in the locker room. And if I am Jermaine Matthews Jr., if I am Bo Jackson, if I am Eli Brickhandler, if I am fill in the blank player on Ohio State's roster, and Ryan Day says that about why he got into coaching and why the staff got into coaching is to pour into young people, I would want to do everything for this man. And this year, we think about Ohio State's team and their schedule and what's to come week one, what's to come after their first off week in a 4-game stretch is going to be very, very tough. What's to come after their second off week where they have to host a very good and solid, more than solid Penn State team. You're going to find that Ohio State is going to have potentially better performances than normal. And it's not to say they're not going to win, because you look at previous years, Ohio State at worst has 2 losses in the regular season, and you can't think of – it's rare to find a school that in a 6, maybe 7-year stretch only has at worst a 2-loss regular season. I mean, that's insane. Even Alabama, what they have, 3 losses last year in the regular season, picked up another one in the ReliaQuest Bowl, I believe, is when they lost to Michigan. Alabama's one of the powers in the sport. Now, yes, a new coach, Nick Saban's gone. In comes Kalen DeBoer. That's real. What is also real is the talent on Alabama's team. Jalen Milroe, great athlete. He's not the best quarterback Alabama has had. Not at all. But he is a great athlete. If he was more Cam Newton than trying to be a dual threat quarterback that tries to throw the ball a little bit more than he needs to, he might be a little bit better. But in today's game, you got to sling the rock. And that's not his strongest attribute. For this team this year, Ryan Day needs to do a lot of the things he did last year, but also a little bit more, because Ryan Day has been adapting. And this is why I mentioned him leading the right way. He's made some great hires. He's got the right guys on the recruiting trail, both at the high school level and in the portal. But Ryan Day's ability to adapt in the season and to pull the plug on things that might be experimental is one thing that I think this year, if Ryan Day in a game figures out, oh, this isn't going to work at all, pull the plug on it, cut the cord, let's go on to something else. I mean, think about it. 2021? 2022. 2020. Forget the exact year. But the Kerry Combs situation, we mentioned it recently. The Everydayers got an unfortunate reminder about how 2021, Ohio State lost to Oregon in week 2. It was Stroud's second start of his career. All of a sudden, there's a demotion, there's a promotion that really wasn't made public, but everybody kind of knew. Matt Barnes was the defensive coordinator because Kerry Coombs wasn't getting it done. Okay, Ryan Day, immediately there, while he was being the play caller, he realized this can't continue. We got to make a change. This past year, lost to Oregon. I think it was game number 6. What did you find about Ohio State? Ryan Day, in that off week, spent 2 weeks with the defense and said, hey, stuff has to change. And I'm pretty sure he rubbed some people the wrong way with his attitude, with his demeanor, because he wasn't trying to have that happen again, where the defense wasn't doing the right things on defense. The game plan and the execution of the game plan wasn't up to par. Offensively, there are some things that needed to be tweaked. And Ryan Day said, hey, we're going to adapt right now. And I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you don't. This is what's going to happen. And in this year, I guarantee, I'm not going to say there's going to be a major change like there was in 2021 after the Oregon loss, or last year after the Oregon loss. I do think, though, you're going to see Ryan Day in the middle of a game that's tight, but you know Ohio State has the players and the talent to win. Ryan Day is pulling the plug on something, saying we're going to try and experiment here with something else, because what we tried to experiment with earlier didn't work. For Ohio State this year, you need a coach like Ryan Day, who's gone through the fire a little bit, knows what it means to be successful, knows what it's like to end your season with a loss in the Cotton Bowl. That is one of those things I will never, ever forget. Ryan Day knows that feeling. He knows the feeling of losing to Michigan. He knows the feeling of losing the national championship. He also knows the feeling of winning the Big Ten title and winning a national championship. And when you have a mix of all those emotions in one, you're going to get a coach in Ryan Day. He's going to do a better job of pushing all the right buttons to help Ohio State be very, very successful. I am not saying they're going to go undefeated. I am not, because going undefeated is very, very hard. I am going to say this, though. While undefeated is very, very tough, it's tougher. It's very tough. It's also very tough to, in the moment, know this isn't working. We have to change. And then step up and say, I'm the coach. Follow my lead. Ryan Day, he keeps his purpose first. He's a right man for the job. And all that is leading to Ohio State potentially getting a commitment on Sunday from their top remaining running back target. This episode is brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. From small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hard working minute. Easier doesn't cut corners, easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com. Thank you all for tapping and Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. It's been quite a long time since we have done a full show about recruiting where there have been players that have committed or some that have flipped, or there will be a host of commitments coming up over a short period of time. It's been quite a long time since we have done that. But we have, over the past couple of days, ended a show with some recruiting news. Unfortunate news yesterday discussing Jacob Witherspoon, the 4-star defensive back that flipped from the Buckeyes to the Tar Heels. Still weird saying that. I know it's Bill Belichick, but Bill Belichick in college still sounds just as weird, maybe even weirder. But what won't be weird for Ohio State is them getting a commitment on Sunday from Derek Cooper. He is their top remaining running back target, and this young man is a dude on the field. He pushed his commitment date back from July 12th to this coming Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So many of you are going to be following along on the socials and try to be right there when that commitment goes out. He's going to be picking between 5 schools: Ohio State, Miami, Georgia, Texas, and Florida State. He's a 5-star Florida kid. You know, there's going to be a Florida school that's in the mix there. Honestly, right now, the top 2 schools there are Georgia and Miami. And as we know in college football, one of those 2 schools, possibly both, are throwing out the money to try to pull this young man to stay down south to play football. Now, here's the weird part about this. Not weird, but maybe a benefit for Ohio State. Also, he's 6'1", 205 pounds. He plays high school football at Chaminade Madonna. Let's try that again. At Chaminade Madonna. I always stutter a little bit when trying to get that name out. Now, why is that familiar to some of you that follow recruiting? It's the same high school that Jeremiah Smith went to. So while Georgia and Miami are currently the front runners to land a commitment from Derek Cooper, it's possible that Jeremiah Smith can work his magic to have homie come from Hollywood, Florida, to play up in Columbus. It's unlikely, but it's possible. And while it's unlikely, I'm beginning to wonder in my head if Ohio State should be comfortable with only one running back in this class. I think they will be comfortable with it, but I don't think they should be. Because I kind of view running back similar to an offensive line or a defensive line. In any given year, Ohio State's going to play at least 2 running backs. Primarily, it's a 2-back system. One guy starts. There's going to be a guy that's going to come in a relief duty. You may use a 3rd back in that rotation, but with the way the college football goes, especially when what we saw a year ago from Ohio State's running back rotation, a 3rd running back really wouldn't have gone over very well. Unless you had numerous plays where both running backs are on the field at the same time, that'd be the only way to say, yeah, let's do a 3-back system. A 2-back system is probably what's going to happen. And while it's probably what's going to happen, I do think Ohio State should go after not go after, they are going after one, but should heavily push for another running back in this class. You can go to the portal in the wintertime and potentially land somebody, but you don't get them for a full 4 years or maybe even 5. You don't. Your time with them is limited. You have to get their old system out of the old off of the system, out of their brain, and input your system, your way of doing things, the way you coach. That can take a lot. There may be some guys that don't fully get it in the first year, so they take a little bit longer to pick things up. When it comes to Carlos Loughlin, I think you can trust him to go to the portal if that's what he chooses to do to find the right guy. I was not thinking C.J. Donaldson when Ohio State was trying to get guys in the portal in the winter. I wasn't at all. Great running back for college. Over 2,000 yards in his 3 years in Morgantown. Phenomenal running back. Already shedding the LBs when he got to Ohio State. And so he's already bought into what Ohio State's doing, and he's ready to be the best running back he can be for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And I'm here for it. But let's just say the Buckeyes only have one running back in this class, and his favorite Aki. They still are potentially waiting for another commitment from Savion Hyder, who may still pick another school in Tennessee or Michigan, as many are expecting him to do. But if it's still Aki, I think they'll be fine. I also think Lockwood will still go to the portal. I still think that. Even next year, I have a strong feeling that Ohio State will have at least one running back go to the portal next year. Could it be a guy that went to the portal and came back this year? It's possible. It is 100% possible, because I have a hard time seeing a path where Sam Williams-Dixon jumps Bo Jackson in the depth chart. And I say that because I know Williams-Dixon is older than Jackson. I think Jackson is built to be a better running back at Ohio State than Williams-Dixon is. And it's not a knock against Williams-Dixon. It's just a reality that Bo Jackson has a gear. Bo Jackson has some size. Bo Jackson has some things in his bag that Sam Williams-Dixon doesn't. I'm not saying the transferring is a bad mark in his career. No, not at all. I just think that you can get him and potentially one more bat to go to the portal. Now, it's highly unlikely two will go, but it's possible. So you may see Lachlan go to the portal to get a couple guys. I think one is a minimum. Maybe even every offseason with Lachlan here. You may get him to go and get two. Quinshon Judkins wasn't his guy. Judkins was already at Ohio State when Tony Alford went to Michigan, and then Lachlan came to Ohio State after that. And so that wasn't his guy, but there was a running back that came from the portal a year ago. I think Lachlan's going to continue that trend, because you kind of have to get older voices in there. And let's just say Williams-Dixon goes back to the portal, but this time doesn't come back to Ohio State, and he decides to go elsewhere to get on the field a little bit quicker. I would knock him for it. I understand his decision. And I think moving forward, you may see more guys that are a little bit younger, maybe year two. They get jumped by a younger guy in the depth chart. They're saying, look, I'm not going to wait 4 years and not play. I'm not going to be here for 5 years and not play. I'm going elsewhere. I get it. I understand it. It would be great for Ohio State to get a commitment from Derek Cooper. I think it's highly, highly unlikely. When someone pushes their commitment date back, in my head, a lot of the times I am thinking this is because of money. Because somebody else came in a little bit stronger right before your commitment date, and they offer something that they didn't offer before, and it threw off your mental state, it threw off your decision-making process, and you said, no, we're not doing this now. We're going to push it back a little bit. Because once somebody makes a commitment date, in my mind, they know where they're going. They can easily make that commitment at that point in time when they say they're going to commit in the future in 2 weeks. They could just make that commitment at that time. It would remove a whole lot of speculation, a whole lot of text messages and emails and phone calls of people trying to hit you up to figure out where you're going to go. I think for Cooper, he knows where he's going to go. Is Ohio State in the running? Absolutely. Could he pick somebody that's not in his top five? Absolutely. You saw that with Felix Ojo when Texas Tech wasn't in his Final Four. But what happened? Felix Ojo followed the money. I mean, if you're going to get almost $1 million in a couple of years or 2 or 3 years, I understand it. I don't think it's the best for his development to go to Texas Tech. I don't think it's the best long-term for him at all. But I understand if you're all about them Benjamins, I understand why you follow that path. Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the portal, because my guy Brian Smith has the latest rumors, portal entries, and signings. You can be the most informed fan on all the changes in the college football landscape. Find the portal and Locked On Buckeyes on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Feel Good Friday. We'll see you next time.